Increasing violence in Afghanistan, the earthquake in Haiti. Here to talk about these topics and issues closer to home, Senator Amy Klobuchar. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Eric. Good, Kathy.
You spoke with Secretary of State Clinton today.
I did. I called her about what was going on with one small part, but a very important part of this catastrophe, and that is these little babies and one-year-olds, two-year-olds that are over in Haiti, where there are families in the United States waiting to adopt them. A lot of these adoptions are nearly completed. The families have been over there. One family from Minnesota just was over there celebrating their two-year-old's birthdays, twins. A woman, Betsy Sather, who actually lost her husband in the 35W bridge collapse, is trying to get these twins back. She's adopted these twins. And so I spoke with Secretary Clinton today, sent her a letter as well as Secretary Napolitano saying, could we use a rare legal concept called humanitarian parole, which allows us to bring babies whose adoptions are pending and are almost done, and lets us do the paperwork in the United States. Because otherwise, if you can think of these kids over there, they've located, fortunately, most of them. The orphanages they were staying in were safe, but you have problems with doctors. There may not be enough water. There may not be enough food. We don't know what will happen with violence or anything like that, and you have families that are waiting for these children. They've sent their pictures to our office. And we've already heard from, I think, 15 families just in Minnesota.
What did the Secretary of State say?
She was completely sympathetic. She knew about it. She said that their first priority right now, which the families in Minnesota understand, is there still may be people alive in the rubble. So our soldiers and relief workers are looking to try to find whoever may still be alive. But then as we start bringing people home, I've made the request that we look at using this concept to bring not just the Minnesota families, babies here, but all of the children who've already had adoptions that have gotten to a certain point where you just need to finish the paperwork. Usually when you adopt a baby, as you know from people who have done this, you go over to the country, fill out all the paperwork there, and then bring the baby back with the visa. They just don't have that luxury right now.
And the government, of course, is in shambles as everything else is in Haiti.
To try to sort through this and get a process going. So she was very sympathetic, obviously devoted to her work on this, and very focused on what's happening in Haiti.
Would it be an easy, by the way, would the president want us to spend initially $100 million on aid to Haiti? Would that be a fairly easy vote in Congress? Or will
I think there'll be a lot of support for this. This is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It is so obvious that they don't have the kind of emergency setup when a tragedy hits. You think of what happened in Minnesota when the bridge collapsed or the Red River flooding. We have a set process that's used, and the National Guard comes in. This country just doesn't have that.
With this dismal record of governance in Haiti, how do you deal with breaking that in the future and helping Haiti rebuild itself in a different way? Does that make sense?
Well, there has started to been some work. This administration has been obsessed with Haiti from the beginning. They've been Bill Clinton has made this a major focus with aid, and so in that way it's so tragic because they had really been focusing on helping Haiti. But that doesn't mean that the relationships aren't there and that you can build anew when a tragedy like this happens, and there are examples of that from the past.
Senator Franken said he came back somewhat more cautiously optimistic about the situation in Afghanistan after he was there. You have been there recently. What's your level of optimism?
Well, I would say that as far as our troops go and our military commanders there, they know what they're doing. This is not like those initial days in Iraq. It's a good group. McChrystal is strong. There's a lot of respect for him there. My concern is with the Afghan side. We did have a good meeting with President Karzai, but my concern is when you look back through history, we've had so many cases where the Afghans seem like they're playing ball and then they don't. And they have to want this more than our troops do. I mean, they have to want to be on our side and take back their country. He really did say some good things. He'd been out the day before. McChrystal reported that he was the only non-Afghan in the room, and Karzai stood up with 500 people in the Kandahar province and said, give me your young men. I want them to fight on our side. And people would stand up and say, you can have my sons. They will join you. So there are some good signs there. But there is so much work to be done. And, you know, the concern is, will he build that kind of trust that you need? Recent polls showed that the Afghans actually were supporting our involvement there, which is a change from the past. So that is what we're going to have to focus on, is building that civilian trust. And that's why the administration has made a commitment to the State Department side as well as the military side.
Is there an argument there, though, to set some kind of a timeline on troop withdrawal because we're not real sure what will happen with the Afghan government?
And that was our main mission there, there, to tell you the truth, or mine, was to say to him very clearly, the American people have so much patience here. They only have so much money. The economy, that we should be focusing on nation building in our own nation right now, and that there will be an end to this. We are going to start bringing home the troops. The president has set a clear timetable, and he said he understood that. And I thought it was very important we convey that. I actually am one that believes in Iraq. That was very helpful. When I went to Iraq, it was right after the 2006 election, and some of our own commanders in the Anbar province said the election had sort of sent some shockwaves through the sheiks and some of the other people, because they knew that people wouldn't be there forever. That's when Rumsfeld left, and then we brought back some of the sheiks, and they started taking back some of their own towns.
Congress and the health care bill in conference, it's being negotiated. Any inklings from the room as to how it's going to look coming out?
Well, we've been working on this. My focus has been on, one, keeping that medical device tax where it was. There were rumors earlier in the week that it could go up again.
It was
I think
lower
we
in the Senate,
contained that.
wasn't it?
No, it was the same in the Senate and the House, but people are always looking for money in all the wrong places. And so I think we've contained that. The second thing is the cost controls in the bill. I just met with Dr. Noseworthy, the new CEO of Mayo, about that. They've been helping us to make sure some of the Senate version is stronger on cost control. So we've been really pushing that. I talked to Max Baucus and Harry Reid yesterday about this. So,
See, do you worry a little bit about the most recent news today about the unions and agreeing with the leadership about the tax on the so-called Cadillac health care plans? If you lower that for unionized workers and retirees, you leave that hole. And how do you backfill that hole for the cost of the overall bill?
Well, that's something we're working on right now, and I will say that the House version where they had that millionaire tax, I actually thought that was okay. But what we're working on now is a compromise to keep some of this Cadillac tax, but raising the income level where it hits, because it was affecting too many middle-class people. Then taking this concept of the millionaire tax, but using it with the Medicare tax, which the Senate had already agreed to. There are a few senators that won't agree to the millionaire tax. So you use the Medicare tax, but it's set at people making over $500,000, people making over $1 million. So it again hits the higher income levels instead of middle-class people. So you make up, you ask for more from those top rungs, and that's how you make up some of the money that you lose from setting the excise tax at a higher level.
Glad you could join it.
Well, I was going to say, yes, National Press Club Gala.
Yes.
The senator. She's
speaking
pretty
there.
funny. She's, yeah.
A Minnesotan
jokes
from
ready to go?
Bloomberg News. It's the new incoming
Do
president.
you write your own stuff? Or?
I did. I got a little help on a few, and about a half of them you would have heard before if you look back at my collected works, including the fact that I had raised $17,000, set an all-time Senate record, $17,000 from ex-boyfriends.
Nice.
True story.
We'll be
Good to see you.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Eric.
coming
I
by.
knew that would stop you from asking any more questions. All right.